How's it going, you spooky skanks? Welcome to another edition of the Brain Damage Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dynamite Jared, and along with me is fellow spooky skank,
Buddy the Bruiser.
How's it going, brother?
Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween, everyone out there. Today is the big day. We're, of course, recording this a day in advance, but been having a good weekend so far. Lots of autumnal delights, lots of spooky splendors, lots of, just all around good time getting ready for the big day, which is tomorrow, even though it's on a Monday, which kind of sucks. But
Do you work?
I do work during the day, yes. But
Somehow I'm off. I don't even think I requested it off, so I have Halloween off tomorrow.
well, that's good. That's good for you. I'll be getting home around 5:30, so I think we're planning. If weather permitting, I would love to have a traditional Saw win sort of fire outside tomorrow, but I don't think that's going to happen. So that's why we were toying around with the idea of doing it today instead. But who knows what tonight will bring? Because it's still pretty early in the afternoon. But
You might have Midnight Miles and his Pittsburgh friends or whoever the fuck that is.
Sounds like a great time.
Yeah.
Miles was in rare form last night, ladies and gentlemen. He had us go to this brewery in Strongsville that was actually having like a legit Halloween party. Like it had legit like props and animatronics and stuff. It was actually like really cool. But the biggest detriment and what I was worried about going in was the music. And Miles reassured me, oh no, man, they're playing the good stuff. They're doing this. This place is lit. And we show up. And not only did we show up as the costume contest was occurring, so this thing went to 1 a.m., right? They did the costume contest at like 11:30. It was over in 10 minutes. And then right after the costume contest, the upwards of 100 people, like maybe like 150 people left to about 30 people for the remaining hour. And it was coupled with some of the worst music I've ever heard in my entire life.
What was the music?
Here's the thing. This is not a bad song, but if you're thinking of a Halloween party, and this like basically looks like a junior high like dance, like there's the flashing lights everywhere. There's like tons of like ghost animatronics. Like it looks like, the student council went all out for this shit. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear Santeria by Sublime.
They raised $100 for this party.
Yeah. But no, they played like Sublime, Steve Miller Band.
I don't think that's a good song, by the way.
It's a decent song, but what I'm saying is that's not what I want to hear on a dance floor at a Halloween party.
I don't like Sublime. Is that a hot take?
Yeah, that's one of your hot takes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a hot take for normie white people.
Yeah.
That have like Sublime tattoos.
Yeah, and now everyone that has the same Sublime. I do not have a Sublime tattoo. But yeah, it was a very, very weak music choices for a Halloween party. And yeah, it was whatever. But before that, we went to Funhouse. We went to a couple of the other bars which we frequent, which was a good time. And then, of course, we had your party on Friday night, but this is all working in reverse. It was reverse order. So
we're just going back
in time. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys look like you were having a blast at Funhouse. You sitting there.
Yeah. My wife was making balloon animals. Did you see?
I saw that. Yeah. I don't know. I am like souring more and more on bars in my life, and that's
more so than normal.
More so than normal. I'm just coming to the conclusion that honestly, bars suck. Like there's like a small selection of bars that are good. King's Rook in Erie, Corky's in Cleveland. Is that it?
I mean, that you like, probably. I don't know. There are several that I enjoy.
Yankees is on the fence.
Yankees is not good. Come on, bro.
Yankees would be lit if they've just played a decent song every once in a while. If they got their music situation in order, Yankees would be like the top dog. I would go to Yankees every weekend. If Yankees played Okay, if Yankees played just 80s music all the time with like the same amount of people there all the time dancing and just being ridiculous in it, because here's the thing that's
They could.
really
I was gonna
here's the
say,
thing
you go ahead. You go ahead. Make
the
your
thing
point.
that's really pissed me off lately, okay, when I'm at work or I'm at somebody that's never been to my house or never really hung out with me before. You know, most people that know me that haven't hung out with me, they know that I'm straight edge and I don't drink or whatever. But then when I tell these certain people, like, oh yeah, I'm having a party at my house this weekend or whatever, and they look at me like I'm insane. Like, but you don't party. And I'm like,
There's a difference between partying and drinking.
that's what I mean. And so like most people view drinking as partying, whereas as a matter of fact, the people that drink a lot usually at parties are the people that like party the least. Like most people just fucking like sit on a couch and just drink and drink until they throw up in the front yard, and then that's a wild night. And I'm just like, and listen, for all you fucking drinkers out there, and buddies even looking at me like I'm fucking lame or whatever, but listen, none of you motherfuckers, I guarantee 99% of anyone listening to this podcast or anyone has thrown as many parties as I have in my life or attended as many. Maybe some of you have attended more parties than me.
Jared's the biggest partier on the planet. Attended more than anyone, thrown more than anyone.
I've thrown more parties. I've thrown house shows, parties. I've done it all. Okay. I've been to my fair share of parties. And let me tell you something. Showing up with a 6-pack of beer is not partying. Okay. Like Miles plays Pong, so I can't say that he doesn't party because he partakes in some party activities. Did you enjoy the Halloween party? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I mean, I wish that we could have gotten there a little bit earlier as well. Our makeup for our both of our costumes was a little bit more elaborate than we had anticipated. So, because originally we were gonna come out early and like maybe even like watch a movie first or something, but it didn't happen. So, but yeah, and then once we were there, I didn't really. I had like two beers and like that was it. Like I was just kind of having a chill time. So,
Yeah, you had like 6 beers left in your cooler
well, those are
when
for
you
me and
left.
my wife to split. It wasn't like I brought all of those for myself.
Well, I thought she was drinking some other wacky shit, not Miller High Life.
Well, she probably was drinking whatever was provided at the party as well, but we brought some other stuff like just for
Or
just in
she was
case.
drinking one of those skinny can things.
Oh, she brought those were in the cooler. She brought those high noons.
Yeah, whatever. So, I mean, hopefully you guys had a good time. I know that I got kind of frustrated in the middle of the party for reasons, but hopefully that didn't hamper anybody else's enjoyment and you guys had a good time. I saw you dancing around a little bit out there to some tunes.
Couple tunes, yeah. They sparked the jitterbug in me.
We played some we had a couple songs probably that went a little bit harder than what you experienced at the brewery.
No, literally the brewery didn't play anything good at all when I was there. But like when we came in, like even the stuff he was saying that he was like excited for, he's like, "Yeah, I can't believe they just played my own worst enemy." And I'm like, "Oh my god, this music is not gonna be good if that's what he's hyped about."
Well, Miles, Midnight Miles is he's literally, as much as he doesn't want to be, he is literally just a bar guy. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you gave Miles the choice between going somewhere hype and going to fucking Brennan's, he would probably pick Brennan's and sit at the end of the bar. And
Brennan's is the standard for
that is
bars.
literally like you go into Brennan's and you're like, wow, I'm in a bar. Like that's all there is to it. Um, so Miles, the whole point of that is that if you give Miles a couple beers, he transforms and suddenly he's like, I want to listen to the worst fucking music of all time without fail.
Literally, as we were leaving, he was like, "You guys got to come over and listen to some music with me," which we did not.
Yeah, I would rather die than do that. When Miles has a couple beers in him, he's like, "Damn, let's listen to some Metallica. We'll be at Iroquois." And he's like, "All right, I got to get on the jukebox or whatever." Miles will walk over to the fucking jukebox, okay, and type in Metallica. I'm like, "Okay, all right, you gonna put on some Ride the Lightning or something sick?" No, whiskey in the fucking jar.
Legend.
Like, this cat will put on like whiskey in the jar or goddamn freaking
Memory
uh
Remains is his
the memory
go-to.
remains. Freaking will put on like the memory remains. I'm like, cat, I see battery like right there. Just click on fight fire with fire. It's not that fucking hard to listen to something fucking good. I have to let the cat out of the goddamn room. Hold on.
Very passionate about the subject as always is Dynamite Jared, as he is letting his cat out of the room. If you guys haven't subscribed to the show already and you're still listening to this far, make sure you are subscribing to the show for whatever reason you're listening to this. And if you were to give this a rating and a review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you happen to be listening to the show, make sure you're leaving a 5-star rating and help spreading the word about the show. Which cat was it? Because I saw you headed towards the door. I didn't see any feline.
That was BB.
It was BB.
Yeah, he's been chilling in the closet lately, and so he'll come up to me and meow, and I have to let him out because he thinks he's going to get into the bathroom. That's
Yeah.
his spot. He loves that. He loves the bathroom. So, buddy, what has been your favorite horror movie that you've watched this month? Or is that a spoiler for your end of the year horror movies that you've watched all year?
Like we're talking like new releases?
No,
Or
anything.
just
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 anything that
anything?
you've watched this month.
Um, I mean, out of the stuff I've watched this month, a lot of it has been pretty mid, honestly. Like there hasn't been I mean, if you want to say what the best film I watched this month was, there was Halloween, the original film, on the TV at your house for like 20 minutes. So that would have to be my answer. But anything that I've sat down, fully watched, like all the way through, like a lot of the stuff that I've been doing in October has been pretty mid. But as far as new releases, I guess Terrifier 2 is the big one. I've talked about that many times. We actually watched VHS 99 the other day, which like from beginning to end, I think was like a stronger sort of film than VHS 94. Because in VHS 94, like you had a couple of the segments that were just kind of off, and then the wraparound was the most piss poor thing of all time.
The wraparound was dog shit. It was so
Um,
bad.
but like so like I would say VHS 94 it had better things within it, but like in terms of like consistency, like beginning to end, like VHS 99 was pretty good.
I started watching it last night, but we started falling asleep around the second story. So I was like, oh, we'll have to pick this back up. So maybe we'll watch the rest of it tonight.
It is not scary at all, but like if you're just like in the mood for like a good time and like see some like goofy stuff, like it's pretty good.
Nice.
So well, one of the films you're gonna pop because it's literally like human representations of Miles. So
Oh.
once you
Well, I got through the first story.
Miles as a teenager. Like this is what I imagined you and Miles hanging out in high school was like.
Is it the first story?
No, it's like it's the second to last one.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say we did not act like the
No,
kids in the band.
no, the first one is Ricky for sure. And you guys are
Ricky
luring
did not act like that.
you're luring Ricky into the caverns to scare him.
I thought that maybe but I thought he was gonna get spared because he was kind of like the good, like, I'm getting out of here, and they were fucking with him and stuff like, you guys are gonna piss off the spirit, you're disrespecting the spirits or whatever. And then he got fucked up too. But it's VHS, so I'm sure everybody gets fucked up all the time. No survivors.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I can't recall if there were survivors in the ones in this one. But typically that's the case. There's not too many survivors.
I watched a movie last night that us as influencers could relate to. We watched
If you're talking about Deadstream, I want to see it so fucking bad. Is that what you're
it's
talking about? Is it
yeah,
good?
we watched Deadstream last night. It's
He doesn't sound too confident.
I gave it 2.5. Like it was okay. It's not bad, but it's also kind of it's I kind of wanted it to be more serious than it was, but it's a horror comedy for sure.
Yeah.
And there are times where the effects look really good, and then there are times where the effects look really fucking bad. And I'm like, so other than that, um, hmm,
I because
it's
that
okay. It's mid. It's mid.
I saw Cinemassacre did a review of it this month, obviously, because this he's been doing new releases this year, and he said, which I sort of agree with when I first heard of the concept of this, like it's based off of a fake like YouTuber, and he's like filming these like stunts. So like he came up with the idea, like why didn't you just like publish these videos, like build a following like for a little bit and then drop the movie so like it kind of like adds to the realism of it. I think that would have been like an interesting idea.
Wait, so there's the guy in it is an actual
No, he's not, but
okay.
he's saying they should have done like kind of like how Blair
Oh,
Witch
like a
Project.
viral marketing thing.
Yeah, like how Blair
Yeah,
Witch
yeah,
Project
yeah.
did like the whatever and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, I mean that could have been cool, but I mean you have to build a following at first. I guess that he would have to I mean, I guess with a little bit of a budget behind it, you could literally just
sponsor the video, like you know what I mean, like make it.
do like the most outrageous video possible to build because yeah, the fake live streamer or whatever he does do like his gimmick is that he just does stunts or whatever. He just does stupid shit. But it was okay. Like I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. And there were parts that made me laugh. And there's like numerous PewDiePie mentions in it.
Oh really?
It's like he mentions PewDiePie by like word one time. Um, because he's like talking about like the spirits of the children or whatever. And he's like somebody in the chat says something about the spirits of the children, whatever, and he's like, "I'm not PewDiePie" or something like that. Because one
Interesting.
of PewDiePie's things gimmicks used to be that all of his followers were 9-year-olds. And it was the 9-year-old army. And then like he'll pull up like the live stream chat every now and then, and like if you just read the stuff in the corner, like there's almost always like a mention of PewDiePie.
Oh really?
Like there was one where it was like OMG, PewDiePie was right about you or something like that. It's just like
Jesus
dumb shit like
Christ.
that. It was like the only influencer I guess they even knew. Well, no Mr. Beast mentions, no Buddy Candela mentions, no Dynamite Jared mentions,
Yeah.
unfortunately, because we would have had to copy strike them.
Where there are some things for us to learn in the film. You said it could have it's a very important film to us as content creators. What do we need to do differently?
It's not important to us. I just said that we can relate to it as content
Oh,
creators. No, there's nothing to learn. The guy has really good tech in it. Like he's got like an arsenal of GoPros that's like unrivaled, and
but
he's mod.
we're not doing any ghost huntings on our thing.
Yeah.
Like we would recommend against that given probably what some of the outcomes are in this film.
Well, it's no secret that he doesn't make it. It's like right at the beginning of the movie that, so and so went missing and this is the footage. The one thing that I kind of had a problem with in the movie was like, so and so, a very popular online personality did a haunted live stream. He went missing in the middle of a live stream. This footage was found 1 year later. I'm like, found? It was on the internet. Like he
Yeah,
live streamed it to an audience. It was public forum. Like
right.
everyone saw it. Like you don't
So
like
how was it discovered a year later when there
you
were
don't
people
it's
in the
not like a
chat? There was
thing where
people
you
in the
like
chat.
go into the house and then discover his cameras and whatever. Like no, you can watch the VOD, like probably,
Yeah.
unless I mean he didn't say anything about the VOD in the movie, but I'm assuming, I mean, Twitch isn't in the movie. It's like a thing. It's like a fake service called Vivid. At least I think it's fake, unless it's like a
Oh,
upstart
it's
streaming.
like it's a weird partnership.
Yeah, like an upstart streaming service that like partnered with the movie to like kind of promote its platform. But it's only mentioned by name, I think, like very early in the movie.
Yeah.
And if they are a partner, you can't even cuss on it. Like the second he cusses, he's like, "Please don't demonetize me, please. I'm sorry." Like you can cuss on Twitch. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not
Crash
familiar.
Chase cusses on Twitch all the time. If you're live streaming video games and you're not allowed to cuss, then I got a lot more respect for the live streamers because that would take talent.
That would take true skill.
You like the restraint to not say fuck every time I die in a video game is would be like unbelievable.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, maybe we'll watch Deadstream tonight because as we were talking a little bit before this, me and my wife are kind of doing like a movie marathon kind of thing at some point tonight.
Yeah, you might
Um,
get two of them in there.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the list. So like, what was on like your list of shit you wanted to watch this month but you didn't? For some reason, I still haven't fucking watched Hellraiser. I
You've
don't know
never seen
how.
Hellraiser? Oh, the new
Like
Hellraiser.
the new one. Yeah,
I don't even know if I want to watch it. I've like heard everyone just say continuously how mid it is.
yeah,
Like a solid 2.5 to 3 stars from pretty much everyone. So like that doesn't particularly excite me, and I'm not like a huge fan of Hellraiser to begin with. I like the first two movies, but I've never seen any other Hellraisers besides the first two. I was like, okay, those are good, but for some reason, I've never been interested enough to go further in. If that makes any sense, I
yeah. Well,
don't know.
most of them suck anyway, so I mean, it's not.
I know that, but you know, like with Halloween and the general consensus of things, most people think they suck. Like aside from the first one, and then like a couple other notable exceptions. But
But these are like straight to DVD early 2000s suck. Like that's like the difference, I guess. Like at least Halloween all had big budgets. It was all
yeah,
theatrical.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. I've just never been interested enough to watch the rest of them.
Yeah,
So the when the remake or reboot or whatever was announced, I was just not interested.
yeah. Yeah, but hopefully I watch that because like I haven't seen many like new releases at all. Like there's that Smile movie that came out. I haven't been bothered to go see that. Barbarian is finally streaming. It's on HBO Max, so that might be one I'll check out soon. But yeah, there's like a lot of shit that I just haven't been caught up with.
Is Barbarian even horror?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's supposed to be. Everything I've seen of it says it's a horror film.
Hmm.
Probably leans heavily into thriller, but I would assume there's some horror elements about it.
Well, I'd like to watch Barbarian, but I don't know if I have an HBO Max subscription that I can use. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look into that. Maybe I'll watch it tonight if I do.
Yeah, yeah, it's been on the list for a while, so
I don't even remember everything I've watched this month besides Halloween Ends, Deadstream. There were there were a couple other ones, but I don't remember them.
I was
I
going hard for the first like the last couple months, but I've slowed down in the past couple weeks, just trying to get like the videos uploaded on time and all that kind of shit. But for a while, I was just like popping shit on Shutter like every night, just like random
Did
stuff.
you watch Summer of '84 yet?
No, not yet, because that's one that I want to actually like devote full time and attention to instead of just like, all right, I'm gonna put this on like kind of as I'm like winding down
God,
for
you
the
should
day.
watch that tonight. That should be on your list. That's really good. That movie's awesome. I love that movie.
But is it a summer movie? I mean, it's like almost November now.
No, it's not about like it's not really it doesn't need to be summer to watch. It's not like, damn, I'm getting good summer vibes from this. It's like,
I'm not gonna want to go to the beach after.
yeah, it's a horror movie. I mean, kind of. It leans into thriller a lot, but it's good. It's really good. I watched it for October last year or the year before. I don't even know last time I watched 30 movies in 30 days, but that was one of them.
I have a question for you because I was looking for this the other day. Is Rewind or Die, is it down, or like did you take it down, or does it not exist anymore? I couldn't fucking find it.
It's still up. I had a hard time finding it the other day. It's because it's Rewind or Die VHS. I think that's the
I think I was just doing rewindordie.blogspot.com. If it's Rewind or Die VHS, then Rewind or Die
it's
VHS.blogspot.com.
is
Yeah, I
it on
found
my
it. Yeah, I got it. Rewinder. Yep, it exists.
yeah, it's
Because the other.
also on my Twitter profile.
Oh, okay. Because I was literally like the other day, I was like doing like one of my episodes, and I was trying to like reference something that like you said, and I was like, oh, I think he reviewed this on his blog, and then I couldn't find the blog, and then I was like, fuck, like I don't know what happened, but now I have it. So
The web design on this is the absolute most dog shit thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh my god.
now you're heavily critical of it because you know what you're doing now, sort of.
Well, this isn't like Blogspot is just Google Blogs, right? So it's kind of designed to just it's already designed for you, but I mean, you customize it and whatever. So it's not like I was in here doing the HTML and CSS for this. I don't even know if I could make it look much better if I did, but I'm just kind of looking at it right now and it looks very dated. It looks like a website that I
From like 1997.
yeah, it looks like a website I would have made in like 2003 on like GeoCities or something. Check it out, rewinder die vhs.blogspot.com. Fucking yeah, this podcast is sponsored by Rewinder Die reviews. I haven't posted a review on there since 2017.
Which actually is a long time ago.
Yeah,
That was 5 years ago.
yeah. It just takes too much to because I would do it for October, every day of the month in October, 31 days of horror, watch a movie, and then,
Write something
type
about it. Be
type
able
a
to have
whole ass
thoughts.
fucking review on it. Like I would do like 3 or 4 paragraphs on every movie. And I'm not the strongest writer and I don't know. It would take a solid like 4 hours out of every single day. And that may not sound like a lot, but when you're working 8 hours on most days and then like on your weekends you're just I don't know, it really started to resemble burning the candle at both ends because somebody wants to hang out with you, you're like, oh, come out with me tonight or whatever. Oh, I can't because I have to watch this 2 hour movie and then type a review about it.
It's hard because like the way you were doing it is you were doing it legit because you would watch the movie that day, review it that day. Like it's not like when like I make my stuff, it's not like, oh, I have like this much time in advance to like get it ready so it's good to go on that day. Like you were doing it like in real time.
Yeah, I don't know if people actually understood that. I don't think some people did because I would go to my friend's house or whatever, and I would have to force them to watch a movie with me, and then they would be like, "Okay, well, let's just watch tomorrow's right now," and I'd be like, "No, I can't do that. I have to watch it tomorrow."
Jared's own personal code of conduct.
Yeah, it got really hard. Like sometimes I wouldn't get the review. Like I would really try hard to get the reviews up before midnight on that certain day because I would feel like a clown when it would be like 12:30 a.m. the next day. Like the dates would be all jacked up, and it
And you can't
happened
and
a couple
you can't
times.
back post it, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it happened a couple times, and I tried really hard for that not to happen, but it it's harder than it seems. I don't know. Maybe if I didn't have a job, it would be extremely easy. If I could make a living off of
Oh
rewind or
yeah. I
die,
mean
like
if it was your job, that would be a different story.
but
for sure.
burnout would still probably occur.
Yeah,
I
it does
always
with everything.
I always felt burnt out after watching all the horror movies. I would be like, there were a couple of years where I straight up avoided horror movies until October of the next year. Part because I'd be like, oh, this one seems good. I need to save it for October so I actually have something good to watch.
Right.
And then also part because it's like I just watched nothing
30,
but horror
31 in a
movies.
row.
I'd watched nothing but horror movies for an entire month. I don't want to watch horror movies for a long time now. And that shit would happen to me. And I mean, some people might call me a poser. I know there's always that meme when October rolls around, like, oh,
Did Jared's bring out the spooky stuff?
watch no, it wouldn't be about me. Like, it's an actual meme.
I
Like,
know the
people be like,
memes you're
oh,
talking about. The
it'd be like
crisp
the Game
fall
of
air.
Thrones, like where it's like, beware the people that pretend to like horror movies for 1 month are approaching or whatever,
Yes,
like shit like that.
yes, I'm aware of the memes.
So that's not me, but it would become me because I would dedicate a whole month out of the year to just watching horror movies, and then I would desperately want to watch something else when it was all said and done.
Yeah, I get it. Every once in a while, you need a good laugh or something, not just a horror comedy, like a straight up fucking like Step Brothers or something. I don't
Every now and
know.
then I want to watch. Can't hardly wait. Like, it's not. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah,
Dazed and Confused or Everybody Wants Some. Have you watched Everybody Wants Some?
no.
God, that movie's fucking good. You need to watch that. Oh, I mean, you like Superbad. It's not like Superbad, but do you like Dazed and Confused?
You like super bad. It's nothing like that. But yes, I like Dazed and Confused. I'm not like on the same hype level that you are, but yes, it is a fine film.
Well, the fine film. This is one of the greatest films ever committed to the screen, but um it's pretty much exactly like Dazed and Confused, except it takes place in the 80s.
Yeah,
And the characters are in college as opposed to high school.
yeah.
But other than that, it's pretty much that vibe, and it's really good. So you should watch it tonight as part of your horror movie
Yeah, it's
marathon.
part of the horror marathon. Yeah,
Squeeze that in there so you don't get burnt out on horror movies
I
tonight.
I think I'll be all right. Is there anything that you were like, damn, I wanted to watch this for October and you didn't, or have you pretty much checked all your boxes?
I've barely been watching anything. I like it's Mazer Laser is the one that's been watching movies. I'll come home from work and she's got like something on. We watched the first Scooby-Doo movie, the
Like
live
the
action
live
one.
action one, yeah.
We watched that the other day
It's hard.
because I feel like when I'm not home, she wants to watch like kind of like a spooky vibe movie, but
But not a
not an
scary
actual,
movie.
not a scary movie. So it's like a lot of like Goosebumps and like kids horror movie, Bewitched, not Bewitched, freaking
Hocus Pocus and stuff like
Hocus
that.
Pocus and stuff like that. She doesn't want to get too scared when I'm not home or whatever. So I got home, but she still put on Scooby Doo. I got to tell you, I was very unhappy with the treatment of Scrappy Doo in the first Scooby Doo movie. I had no idea they made him the main villain of the movie.
You didn't know that?
No, and it kind of pissed me off because I like Scrappy Doo.
There was always the comment, and I mean, we weren't like older when these shows. I mean, we weren't alive when Scrappy Doo was introduced, but this movie came out around the same time when we were like children. So like, I guess in the adult community for decades, it was that Scrappy Doo was this annoying piece of shit. So it was kind of like an in joke, like with the like adult fans that Scrappy Doo was like the villain. But yeah, for us, it didn't really make too much sense because we were kids the entire duration of this.
I've always looked at it like Scrappy Doo was the only one that was a pussy bitch. Like Scooby and Shaggy would always, oh God, and fucking run away from the monster, and everybody
But
runs from the
Scrappy's
monster.
like,
Scrappy Doo would
let
always
me
be
at
like,
him.
let me at him, let me at him. He would always try to fight the monster, and I was like, you know what?
That's hard.
He's he's brave. Like he's cool. You know what I mean? And it was funny. And maybe he would always get them in more trouble, but I never thought he was an asshole. I was just like, dude, he's the only one with enough balls to freaking step up to the monster and try and fight him.
He hasn't been fixed yet. Still has those
So
balls.
yeah, he was never neutered. So Scrappy Doo was always like, let's go. Maisie thought he was annoying too, but I'm just like, he's just not a punk bitch. That's all. Like, and maybe he could not take the monster because I mean he's tiny, but at least he tried. Scooby-Doo never tried to square up on the monster. Never once.
I think he did a couple times, but I know what you mean.
When did he square up on the monster?
I mean, I don't have the Scooby-Doo Wikipedia article.
Listen,
in front of me.
if it's in one of these live action movies, then I'm calling bullshit. They're breaking character on everybody.
You know, it might have been in some of the animated movies, so those are probably not canon. It's probably like Dragon
The
Ball.
Scooby-Doo canon.
Yeah.
Which timeline are we talking about? I know that when putting together the playlist for the party, it never played, but Maisie was like, "Oh, like we got to have the What's New Scooby-Doo song on there." And then she put one on, but it was like a cover of it.
Well, it was done by Simple Plan. Like
I
I don't
know,
know.
that's what I mean. I was like, "Why are we not listening to the Simple Plan version?" She's like, "Huh?" I was like, "Simple Plan did this
She was
song,
like, "What do you mean?"
not this band." And then she was like, "Huh?" And then she put on the Simple Plan version. She's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, this is the right version." I was like, "I know,
Oh.
because they did that song."
All right, it might have just been a cover. Like it might not have been like actually in an iteration of What's New Scooby Doo. Like because I mean, like Simple
No, it
Plan
was a
still.
cover. It was a cover of the Simple Plan.
Oh, I thought you were
Of the
like I thought you were implying that there was like another version of What's New Scooby Doo that was using
no,
this other
no,
song.
no. It was just a straight up cover. And I was like, why are
Got it.
we? I was like, why do you have a cover on the playlist? You should have the original. And she didn't realize because the cover was
I
pretty
mean,
identical, but
like close enough, but it wasn't the same
it was
voice.
close. Maybe like drunk people at the party probably would have never noticed, but there were a couple little hints of like metalcore, a couple extra chugs in there at certain points that I was like,
So it was a like a 2013 cover.
yeah, it was goddamn like Attack Attack covering it. It wasn't Attack Attack, but it was
I
something like that, some crabcore band.
true. I forgot what we were talking about. It's fine. Oh,
Movies,
okay. So you watched the Scooby Doo movie.
didn't like it. Actually, I should rate that. I don't even think I rated it on Letterboxd. I
I don't
need
think
to.
you did because I would have pointed it out to you if you would have rated it. I would have been like, I can't believe Jared watched the Scooby Doo movie,
I
and you
don't
you
have.
had you had never seen it.
I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I don't think I ever finished it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I when that came out, I was already past my Scooby Doo phase. There was a period in my life as a child where I really liked Scooby Doo. Like it was my favorite cartoon for a second.
Yeah.
Even
I
though I didn't like horror movies, I liked the fact that there were horror elements in Scooby Doo, and I liked the fact that there was a mystery throughout. You can kind of try and guess who the perp is and everything
I'm sure
as
it's
you're going
super.
through.
I'm sure it's super obvious now, but like back then, like yeah, it was like a genuine mystery trying to figure out who it was behind the mask.
I don't know if it was always obvious. I feel like it always kind of came out of the blue, and then they would just start citing clues that you wouldn't even really notice, or like at the time in the context of seeing the clue where Velma would be like, "Oh, this is a clue," or whatever. In the context of the episode, the clue meant absolutely nothing to you because there was no context around it
But then they
until
just explain.
later.
They just explain it at the end.
Until later, when she would unmask the guy, and then she would be like, "Oh, the shoe that we found earlier was a size 12, which matches his shoe size, and he used it to do such and such." Or whatever, and you're like, okay, well, there was
When
you
was that addressed?
you retroactively added context to the clue that you found.
Yeah,
At least that's how I remember it.
yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the clues made it extremely obvious. like
It's
Blue's Clues.
it's been a long time since I've actually watched an episode of Scooby-Doo, so I'm not sure. But yeah, the spooky shows were always the best. I mean, I was big on like Courage the Cowardly Dog and stuff like that. I mean, I know that was a little past your time. I'm sure you watched it a little bit,
The
but
first season of it was well within my time. Like the first time they did What a Cartoon,
yeah,
Courage the Cowardly Dog special, kind of like the pilot.
the chicken from outer space.
Yeah, I saw that like when it aired. And then, I watched the first season when that came out because even still, Courage the Cowardly Dog was still like kind of a second generation cartoon. It wasn't in the initial lineup, if I recall correctly. It was
No,
like,
it wasn't with the Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls and stuff like that. This was like the second wave. It was a little bit
yeah,
later.
it came with like Ed, and
Yeah,
Eddie and stuff like that. Yeah. Because the first wave was Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, Cow and Chicken.
Cow and
And
Chicken was underrated. I mean, I'm sure it sucks now, but it was underrated at
I
the
didn't
time.
like it at the time because I thought it was too raunchy, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, that was just my preference at the time. I'm
I
talking about
really
Child Jared. Maybe if I watched it now, I would like it more and the nostalgia would come back. I watched it. Don't get me wrong. I watched Cow and Chicken, but at the time, it was not my favorite.
I Am Weasel was like my favorite thing at the time. Like I thought that was the funniest shit ever when they would do those segments in Cow and Chicken.
I loved Powerpuff Girls when I think Powerpuff Girls was my favorite when it was all like coming out, but as I've gone on, I've decided like I've kind of leaned more towards Dexter's Lab. To me, Dexter's Lab is just god tier. So good.
Yeah, I haven't watched any like the original episodes in a really long time, but those two were definitely standout. I mean, those they were made by like the same kind of like team, so those two were definitely like big
I had a period
standouts.
where Johnny Bravo was my favorite too. Like somewhere in the middle, Johnny Bravo was my favorite. And I still think Johnny Bravo is great, if not slightly problematic
Oh,
now.
for sure.
But I still think it's
I
great.
always liked it, but it was never my favorite one. Like there was never a period where Johnny Bravo was my favorite.
I think there was a period where it was my favorite.
Yeah.
But I always kind of was like, I was always kind of like, why do all these women hate Johnny Bravo? Like, he didn't seem like a ugly dude or anything to me. Like, he had the fancy hair and the square jaw, and he was buff and everything. I mean, he skipped leg day for sure, but I don't know, he was jacked. I thought he would get at least one girl, but he repulsed the women. They did not like him.
Nah, he had no game whatsoever except for when he dated that deer. But the deer was using him to get back at her boyfriend. Do you remember that shit?
Yeah. Well, wasn't there an episode where like a female gorilla fell in love with him too?
Yeah, that was like one of the first episodes. I don't remember the outcome of that, but I know he doesn't end up with the deer. I don't remember the outcome with the gorilla,
Well, I think he's trying to get with the zookeeper, right?
but the gorilla
But
wants.
the gorilla wants him. Yeah. The best episode of Johnny Bravo is the Twilight Zone episode with the clown on the airplane.
I disagree. There's two episodes I think are better than that one, and one of which
Okay.
we've already talked about. The Scooby-Doo episode of Johnny
Oh,
Bravo
okay. That is God tier. That's
has
so
got to.
good.
And
The crossover, and that's amazing.
for some reason, I always also like the episode. I don't even know if you remember this episode because I don't know if it's an obscure one or not, but it always stuck out to me. The one that's basically like green eggs and ham, where like she's trying to get Johnny Bravo to buy Girl Scout cookies, and like the
Hmm.
whole episode's in rhyme.
Yeah. I remember that. I don't remember specifics from a lot of these episodes, but
I
I
remember
do
there's a
remember
line
that.
in that one, and he was say she's like, "Would you buy the cookies from a fox?" And Johnny Bravo says, "Well, if the fox was Courtney Cox." But since that's not the case, get those cookies out of my face or something like that.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, Johnny Bravo is great. What's your favorite episode of Powerpuff Girls?
Um, I liked the Beatles parody at the time. I forget what it was called. The Beat Alls, and it was just all about the villains. Like I thought that was just
Hmm.
like a cool thing to focus on something other than the Powerpuff Girls. Um, I don't know. There's so many episodes of it ever. Actually, if I had to pick a favorite, this is another one. I don't know if it's obscure or not, but again, it follows the villains. Like it's just Mojo Jojo trying to go to the store in the morning to buy eggs because he needs two eggs for his breakfast and he only has one left. But he's not doing anything evil. He's just trying to go to the grocery store, buy eggs, and go home. But every
Mm.
step of the way, the Powerpuff Girls are like kicking his ass. And he's like literally he's like I'm not doing anything evil. Like I don't know, it was just funny.
It's pretty stereotypical.
You
And
like
if
the Rowdy Rough Boys for
I
sure.
loved the Rowdy Rough Boys, man. When I was a kid, that episode, and it was like an epic episode. It wasn't broken up into parts. Like it was the full
Yeah, that's the
episode was the
full
Rowdy Rough
the full
Boys.
half hour, yeah.
And then they explode at the end because the Powerpuff Girls gave them kisses or something, and like they
Yeah.
died of cooties or some shit. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
That was I as a kid, I was like, this is the hypest episode. But I'm sure that if I rewatched now, I would probably have a different opinion. I probably would end up liking the one where Mojo Jojo tries to go to the store, or so that would probably end up being my favorite episode. All right, favorite episode of Dexter's Lab.
I remember really liking the film when I was a kid. Did you ever watch the film? It's like
I
Ego Trip.
probably, I probably did, and I think I own it on VHS, but I don't remember anything about it.
I don't remember specific episodes that I
I
really
saw the
liked a lot.
Powerpuff Girls film in theaters, by the way, and I don't remember anything about that movie
I
either.
didn't see it in theaters, but it was definitely when it came out on VHS, we definitely got it like when it came out, but we didn't see it in theaters. But Dexter's Lab, I don't remember too many of the specific episodes. Like I remember the different segments, like they had like Dial M for Monkey and the Justice Friends and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But I don't remember too many specific episodes. Oh, the Kusala Goopa Goop. Whenever he was on screen, that was good shit. Do you remember that? It was like Dee Dee's imaginary friend. They like go to
Hmm.
space and shit.
Uh, I, I, I would probably know it if I saw it. I recall Dee Dee having an imaginary friend. I really like the episode where Dexter falls asleep while listening to like his French tape or whatever to study for the test,
I
and
vaguely remember this.
it starts skipping, and all it says is omelette du fromage, and that's all he like the next day. All he can even say is omelette du fromage, like he can't even speak English anymore.
Is that when
But
like the girls are in the playground like macking on him and he's like I'm gonna do fromage.
like all the girls start liking him, and he's like whispering like omelette du fromage in their ear, like. And I think, what does that even mean? It's like something to do with like an omelet.
No idea, but it's French and it sounds romantic, I guess.
He's like omelette du fromage, like it's great. I don't remember what episode it is or what even the context of it is, but there's one episode where throughout the episode it kind of records Dexter his like um process of getting ready in the morning, his routine.
Okay.
And so, like, at the beginning of the episode, he's like getting in the shower and like you see his ass and he's like shaking his ass. He's like all happy. And then, like, as the episode progresses, like
He gets
it
all
gets,
upset
yeah, it
and
gets to like the
depressed.
point where he's just like sitting in the shower and you see his ass, but he's just standing there with like his head down. Like, that shit's great. I like the episode where Dexter makes the new Wonder Dog or whatever, or
I don't recall that one.
maybe it's not Wonder Dog, but Blue Falcon's like sidekick dog,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Robo Dog or whatever. I can't even remember, but he's like stupid as fuck. So Dexter makes like
A new one.
an advanced one. He says that he's like upgrading him, but instead he just like throws the old one out because he thinks it's useless. And then he makes like the jacked up, like crazy one. And it becomes like too violent, I think. I don't even know.
That one, so there's that one episode of Dexter's Lab where I can't remember if it's a fake beard or like he invents something that makes him grow a beard.
He gets like the beard oil. He invents
Yeah,
like beard oil or whatever, and he fights crime with
with
the
this other
one,
jacked up dude.
yeah, it's like the black superhero that has like a beard and he like punches people with his beard, I think, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
It's like Beard Power or whatever. That's a good episode. The first Mandark episode is great. Every time he says his name, the lightning strikes and like the
Right.
horse like gallops and shit. Oh man, Dexter's Lab is good. Did any of these have like good like Halloween specials? I'm sure they did, but I don't remember any of them.
I'm sure they did, but I can't recall either. I'm sure. I think there's actually like a DVD you can get because like I've seen it on Amazon a couple times of like it's like a compilation of like some of like the spookier episodes of some of these shows. But like I don't know if that means it's like Halloween centric or if it's just like kind of spooky. But I'm sure that they did have like holiday specials and stuff. Because
Yeah,
they had Christmas, but like there's the Christmas episode of Dexter that I think I remember where he's on the naughty list and stuff. So
I'm sure there's a Halloween special that I'm just not remembering, and maybe it's not the best episode or whatever, but it would be topical if I could remember it. Every episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog is a Halloween episode, pretty much.
well, I mean, yeah, you could argue every episode. There's not too many lighthearted ones, but I don't know. It's a Nickelodeon show, but like, did you ever watch Hey Arnold? Like, I felt
Yeah,
like
yeah, of course, of
literally
course.
like every other episode of that show was spooky as fuck. Like you would watch because like there were two segments within the half hour. The first one would be normal, and then the second one is just like terrifying for some reason.
I don't remember that, but
Literally, like even like
but
look
I
it up.
did watch Hey Arnold.
Like there's the one with the fucking pigeon man. There's the ghost like train operator. There's like the one with the headless
Hmm.
horseman. Like there's like tons
I
for some
vaguely recall the Headless Horseman one.
for like some odd reason. Like every other episode of Hey Arnold felt like a Halloween special.
Was Are You Afraid of the Dark before your time?
No, I mean I watched it. Like I didn't watch it religiously. I was all as a kid. I was always just not interested in TV shows that weren't animated. Like I just thought, I don't
Hmm.
know, like I've always would just watch cartoons. So like the Are You Afraid of the Darks and like Keenan and Kells and stuff like that. Like I watched it, but it was never something that like I was like super into.
Were you more of an I feel like you were more of a Nickelodeon guy. Would you consider yourself more Nickelodeon or more Cartoon Network?
No, I mean I'm pretty much half and half. Like there was never a point where I was like on a certain team. I would watch both. And I think that was like the best way to live because I would watch Nickelodeon during most of the week, but the weekends was 100% Cartoon Network, like all 3 days. Like Cartoon Fridays is like one of my favorite things ever growing up. So
Cartoon Fridays goes crazy. That shit's so good.
I recreated an episode. Did I tell you about that?
No.
So like my wife is was a little after her time, so she never watched it. So I literally went bootlegged a bunch of episodes of these shows with commercials and spliced it together to recreate what a Cartoon Friday would be. And we haven't watched it yet, but because well, because we're waiting for a Friday to watch it. I refuse to watch it
Mm,
any other time than a Friday.
true, true.
So it's on our like we have like a little like list of like date night ideas. So that's on the list for a Friday night. So
What, in your opinion, is the creepiest episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog?
the basic answer would be the one with the Pharaoh.
That's it definitely had an effect on me as a
But the
child.
one that I thought was the scariest, that freaked me out the most, was the one where basically the Quentin Tarantino zombie comes over and then they resurrect another zombie in the basement. That was the one that was the scariest to me.
You know, something, and it's gonna sound weird, but as a child, I actually was very freaked out by the pilot episode. When Eustace started turning into a chicken,
Yeah.
it like freaked me out, man. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, he had like the weird eyes and shit. I was kind of freaked me out as a kid. Not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Oh, a strange phenomena that freaked me out as a kid was when Dragon Ball Z Android Saga started coming out on VHS. And if you recall correctly, when the androids were first introduced, like before you even really saw them, they were kind of portrayed to be like kind of creepy. Um,
Yeah, they're like
no,
unassuming. They don't look like any other villain we've seen in the series so far. They're two teenagers that look
and
relatively normal.
there was one shot in one of the commercials for the Android saga where like Android 17 and 18 had like these. I mean, it's Dragon Ball Z, so everybody has massive eyes, but they had like huge bug eyes just because of the way they were drawn. And it creeped me the fuck out for some reason. And I would be like scared to take a shower
Because that's
because,
where they're gonna get you.
yeah, I was like, what if Goku can't beat them? Like, it's the heart disease.
Oh my god.
Listen, man, I was like 9, okay? I'm sorry.
Oh, you were older than 9 when the Android saga was hitting Toonami.
Shut the fuck up, okay? I didn't say when it hit Toonami. I said when it was coming out on VHS, but I was still probably older than 9. You're correct.
Yeah.
I was like
Oh yeah,
8
because
or
I get
9
because I
when I
guess it did.
first discovered Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, because I guess it did hit VHS before it was on TV.
It would always hit VHS before it was on TV. They would drop like the first like 5 volumes of that season, I guess, even though Dragon Ball Z isn't really a seasonal anime. But
No.
in America, it was. And so, yeah, they would drop like the first 5 tapes of it, and then they would start airing it on Toonami. I still remember when those first tapes from the second half of the Namek saga dropped. I could not believe it because there was no there was no like indication that that was going to happen on Toonami. Like they never said anything about new episodes coming. So I would just be watching the first 50 or so episodes of Dragon Ball Z over and over and over and over again because that's all they would had and that's all they would rerun in the ocean dub. And so one day at my babysitter's house, like one of the other kids that was getting babysat was like, "Hey, this is new like busted out the tape, new episodes of Dragon Ball Z, and all the voices were different
Yeah,
and
because it was
everything."
the different dub. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck?" And watched it, and then like the next tape came out, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like it was insane hype. And not even just that, but then I also remember when the first tapes for the Android saga started to come out because I remember buying the first Future Trunks like tape at Sam's Club. For some reason, we were at Sam's Club, and in a bin, there were the 2 goddamn Future Trunks tapes. And I was like, and I knew who Trunks was based only on seeing pictures of him on the internet. And I was like, oh my God, like he almost had like a seizure in the store. What's this doing here? What the hell? Like feeling like I was just discovering like treasure. These days are gone now. Like, I don't know, but it just felt like something that I wasn't supposed to be able to find was suddenly like there. Like I just discovered the rarest thing ever.
It would never happen today because like you could easily say like, oh, I wish I had experienced Dragon Ball for the first time again, but it'd be different because you're an adult. It'd be I want to experience watching Dragon Ball again as a kid, seeing it for the first time. This is
Mm.
literally the most hype shit ever. Because like right now, I mean, we're jaded fucking 30 somethings. Like we're gonna watch Dragon Ball, we're gonna be like, okay, this is good. Like you know what I mean?
Do you think that we would still like it?
I don't know. I think so. I mean, because it does still hold up. I don't think it would be. We might not hold it as high regard as we do because we do have the
Mm.
nostalgia for it. But I mean, if you go back and you watch Z, like it holds up. Like it's not
Yeah,
like
I feel it because like I've watched all of Fist of the North Star, and that's older than Dragon Ball.
yeah.
And I like it. I like it a lot, but I don't know. I don't know. I know for a fact it didn't have the same impact on my life, and I don't hold it as high in regard as Dragon Ball Z because Dragon Ball Z was like at the perfect time in my life to just like influence me in like at the time Dragon Ball Z came out in America, there was nothing like it. And so like the first time you saw people shooting that shit out of their hands and setting themselves on fire basically and screaming when they would charge up. And I was just like, this is insane. Straight beating the fucking piss out of each other in the show. Like, if you watched American cartoons, you do you realize that the 90s Spider-Man animated series, no punches connect in that show.
I never watched it as a kid, so I don't know.
They weren't allowed to have Spider-Man punch people in that show.
That's
So like
that's
all
very
this
odd.
offense is like web slinging and kicks.
That's very bizarre.
It's just weird, like so when I saw Dragon Ball Z for the first time, I feel like there were no cartoons where it was just straight, all right, let's fucking throw hands then.
Well, I mean, like at the time, like before I got into Dragon Ball, I really watched like a lot of like Looney Tunes and shit. So like the violence I was like kind of used to. It was like the energy blasts that were different, but in terms of punching and kicking, I was like,
Looney
okay.
Tunes is different though, because the violence is played up for comedy.
But I was
Where
still used to seeing
well, yeah,
punches
I was used to
like
seeing violence, but it was never like serious violence in a cartoon. You know what I mean? It was always just the Tom and Jerry were never pulled up on each other. And yes, they beat the fuck out of each other. More Jerry beating the piss out of Tom. But
I guess
they
like
never
what
they never pulled up on each other and were like, all right, motherfucker, like you just killed my son. And so now I'm pissed and we're gonna throw hands. Like,
I guess like my point is I was more blown away by the key blasts and stuff because that was something I hadn't seen before, I guess. So I was just like, whoa, like what is going on?
I mean, I agree. I'd never seen anything like that either. Um, but it did kind of exist. I mean, like Star Wars, there's Force lightning and stuff like that.
But like I
There
hadn't
were
seen that
similar
before I
things
saw
to that.
Dragon Ball.
Oh, really?
Like Dragon Ball was like my first time like seeing stuff like I didn't see Star Wars till like a little later on in life.
I mean, I had been playing Street Fighter and Mega Man before I saw Dragon Ball. So people shooting like balls of energy out of their hands
I guess
was not like new, I guess. But seeing it in a cartoon, I guess, was new to me.
like the equivalent to that, the only thing I would have really had like on the gaming aspect because I wasn't playing like most of the action because like I mean I was younger than you. Like Mario's fireballs would be like the closest equivalent,
Mm.
but that's not a Kamehameha.
Yeah. I mean, a Hadoken is basically a Kamehameha. A
Yeah,
Kamehameha came first,
right.
oddly enough. You would think that it was the other way around, but Kamehameha came out in manga in like what, like 84 or some dumb shit like that.
84, 85 ish. Yeah.
So it's yeah, I'd never seen anything. I mean, the first time I ever saw Dragon Ball, and I've accounted this on the show before, was just searching through the channels and then like stop on Cartoon Network because you have to see what's on Cartoon Network when you're fucking 8 or whatever. But and then it was just Vegeta powering up before he charged at Raccoon.
Right.
And so I'm just like seeing this guy screaming and just like the energy like around him, the craters in the ground, the rocks are coming up. He's just fucking and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And then he charges at Raccoon and just starts, he gets some good shots on him at the beginning, but then Raccoon like, oh, is that all you got or whatever? But Vegeta's like double axe handle and kicking him over there, and then he starts doing like the barrage of energy blasts on him, and I'm like, I'm gonna have a seizure. This is the hypest shit I've ever seen in my life.
At the time,
I've
like
never
there
seen
was
someone
nothing
in a
like it.
cartoon. I've never seen someone in a cartoon just beat the fucking piss out of someone like that. Like it was never like that.
Like at the time there was nothing like it at all. Like it was totally like a new experience. For like nowadays, like kids are probably fucking watching Marvel movies as soon as they're out the womb. So like there's not like gonna be that shock when you do finally discover Dragon Ball and you're watching it for the first time. Like it's not gonna have the same kind of impact because now it's the popular thing to hate on Dragon Ball and stuff like that. So
I feel like even still, like kids in Japan had seen stuff like that before, but Dragon Ball still is like considered one of the most influential anime in Japan, like ever. But I mean, like stuff that happened in Dragon Ball happened in Fist of the North Star. Like, and there were definitely anime before even both of those where it was like, all right, it's time to throw hands like that. Maybe not to like that power, you know what I mean? But there are energy blasts and Fist of the North Star, and kind of they're not the focus, but and Fist of the North Star definitely. Fist of the North Star might even be the one that pioneered like the lightning speed punches that Dragon Ball Z has. When they start just throwing
Right,
hands
yeah.
and they're doing that. Like I think Fist of the North Star might have been the first one to really do that when Kenshiro like he's got like 6,000 fists, coming out from everywhere.
And that was like what, a couple years before Dragon Ball,
I
right?
don't know when the manga for Fist of the North Star
But the
started.
anime was first too, right? Or am I wrong about that?
I think so. They're both animated by Toei. I know that. Let's look it up.
Because I have a feeling Fist of the North Star maybe started because Dragon Ball had to start at like 86 or 87 on television. So I would think that Fist of the North Star started like 84
Oh
ish.
wow.
Or is it earlier than that?
Okay, Fist of the North Star manga started in 1983
Okay, I'm
and
getting my
ran until
years.
like 1988. The anime first aired on 1984, October 11th.
I don't know how the fuck I guessed that year correctly. It just felt right, 84. But I thought the manga was at least earlier than 83.
All right, Dragon
But
Ball.
I want to say
Let's see.
it's 84 for the manga, and then the anime probably started 86.
Yeah, so 84 for the manga, and then the anime started in 86. You're correct for
Jesus
Dragon
Christ,
Ball.
I'm on fire, bro, with the
So
anime
so
lore.
Fist of the North Star is like just barely before. It's like a year before
But
Dragon Ball.
it was way before Dragon Ball was doing that fighting you were talking about.
That's true. When Dragon Ball first started, it didn't have that type of combat in it. So there's probably like a solid year run of Dragon Ball before they get to the first Budokai Tenkaichi, where they started really doing kind of the Fist of the North Star type of shit in there. And then it really wasn't until
Goku grows up when you really start to see it a lot. Because like he doesn't even really do it with Demon King Piccolo that much. Like that style of
what, like
fight.
fast hand throwing. He
Yeah,
throws he throws
from what I
hands
recall.
fast against Tien in like in
Does
Jackie
he?
Chun. I'm pretty sure they start going crazy. I
Okay.
don't know. The fight with Tien is really good, underrated fight. And obviously another underrated fight is actually Goku versus Krillin in that same tournament.
Yeah, that's
They
a
have
good
a
one.
they have a
Yeah.
really good fight. And the first Goku versus Jackie Chun fight is really good too. That's actually probably the first fight in Dragon Ball though, where it's kind of like that fight's like 4 or 5 episodes, and you're kind of like, okay,
Let's get this going.
let's go. Um, so I know that when Goku was fighting Tien, Mazer Laser was kind of like, all right, when's this gonna end? Like, I'm like, oh, wait till you get to Frieza. They're like, don't even start with me.
It's like just 3.5 hours of straight fighting, like not including whatever happens in the rest of the episode with Krillin and Gohan. Like it's literally 3.5 hours of them punching, pretty
Yeah.
much. Like
So yeah, you're right. So Fist of the North Star, I didn't even consider that like at the beginning of Dragon Ball,
they don't fight like that. Yeah,
it's not really like that much of a, I mean, it's a martial arts anime, Goku versus Yamcha and stuff like that, but it's really not like that at all. And it's more of like a mystical adventure as opposed to like a fighting show. It's not a battle shonen yet at that point that it would evolve into.
yeah, agreed.
Do you think Demon King Piccolo is the scariest Dragon Ball villain?
We're including everything? Or are you talking Dragon Ball?
Dragon Ball period. Dragon Ball
Just every
franchise.
scariest villain. Oh my god. That's a
Based
tough.
on a purely just because we're in the Halloween episode and we've kind of wandered off from spooky stuff. Based purely on appearance.
Oh, on appearance. Okay.
Not factoring in, like their abilities or powers or their power level. I guess you can factor in like their special abilities. Like if you think the fact that Majin Buu can turn you into candy is kind of scary, you can consider that. I mean, Piccolo can create more monsters. Like you can consider that. Um Frieza doesn't really have anything. Uh I don't think aside from transformations, I guess. Who do you think is the creepiest Dragon Ball villain?
It's tough to say. Like, are we taught? Like, so are we talking about looks, or we're putting in key ability, like basic abilities?
You could put in like their abilities that are unique to them.
And we're talking the scariest
But
then,
I'm
or
not
the
talking about
scariest
like,
now?
okay, obviously Kid Buu is stronger than Demon King Piccolo. He
Right.
would fucking like, but I'm
It's not who's gonna win in a fight.
not
It's
talking
yeah,
about power level. Just like that character, kind of like his unique abilities, like, Majin Buu can absorb you, like literally turn into a glob and just consume you, and then whatever. That's kind of creepy. Like if you thought about that in real life, that's kind of spooky. But Demon King Piccolo out here puking fucking eggs out that like turn into monsters, like that's kind of creepy too.
as a kid, I was always terrified of Cell. That was the
I
scariest.
didn't even think about him for some reason. Which form?
When I was a kid, it was the whole process. I mean, as far as like creepy looking, the fucking first form Cell is the most creepy looking, like the insect one. And then
Yeah.
he gets more handsome as it goes along. But I mean, the second one's still pretty ugly
Yeah, he's
too.
sexy as fuck as Perfect Cell.
But just like that whole thing was just like creepy as shit to me when I was a kid.
Mm. Yeah, and you know what? It's also extra creepy with him too because it has the whole like horror movie scene where he's like absorbing the people and they
In
just
the
like
town, yeah.
disintegrate and just turn into clothes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of scary. And that's a situation like I'm saying where like his unique ability where he drains your life force attributes to his creepiness
Yeah. And
because that's
seeing that
probably
shit in real time was just because I had popped into Dragon Ball like as Frieza was kind of winding down. Like it wasn't from the beginning of the saga. So like Cell was the first one I watched beginning to end as it was coming out. And I was just like, bruh.
that's a pretty good one. I don't know if I can argue with that. I'm gonna have to go with Devilman, the scariest villain in Dragon Ball. No, I don't know. It's probably first form Cell because of that scene entirely. Now, perfect Cell and second form Cell, I never thought of as creepy at all. But first form Cell,
Because the way he's introduced, like first before you even see him, you see like the cocoon that like he came out of, like is
yeah,
like
it's very
the skin.
ominous build up to him actually appearing.
Yeah. So I think that's the logical choice.
All right, well, are we gonna do a Cocktober thing? I mean, it's Halloween, but you got movies to watch. I got some homework to do, so we should probably wrap this one up.
Should probably wrap this one up. So I don't think we did one last week either, so I don't know if it really matters.
We did
Oh yeah, we did the
sexiest
we did the boo.
version of Michael Myers,
No, we did
or
the sexiest boo bucket last week. It was literally the title of the
sexiest
episode.
boo bucket. Let's see here.
We can do a quick one. What's something we can
What's something Halloween related?
sexiest? I don't know.
Okay.
Sexiest alien, the one from Signs.
Oh my god, that is not the sexiest alien. The sexiest alien
Is the xenomorph.
is
The Predator.
it's like either Goku or Vegeta.
Oh my god.
Right?
The sexiest evil alien
Vegeta,
from a horror movie.
Frieza. Oh, from a horror movie. Okay. Hmm. Spock. He's not evil. Um.
Spock.
uh, you know what? Fine. Fuck it. Xenomorph. Final answer. Going in. So what we got the alien from Signs versus the Xenomorph.
The way he just struts into that alleyway is just so seductive.
Is the Xenomorph even a guy?
Oh no,
There's-
you can't. No, that's a girl. You gotta go with Predator.
Well, there's the Queen, but is the original?
I don't think it's specified.
All right, yeah, I'll go Predator.
All right, so the Predator versus Signs. So let us know which one is the sexiest. Of course, if you guys haven't already, make sure you're subscribing to the show wherever you're listening to the show. Thank you all for listening and watching all of the episodes that have come out this October. And we've got more stuff coming. Brain Damage isn't going to end in October this year. I mean, we might take a little bit. I don't know. We're going to see what's going on with Miles and all that kind of stuff. But the episodes will be happening on a semi-regular basis.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Depends on Jared's homework and scheduling conflicts. But
We'll
we'll have at least a couple.
Probably make it work if we're on Zoom. Most of the time, I can make it work.
Yeah.
And I mean, this. I'm definitely going to be over at your studio at some point before the year is over. I come over pretty much every other weekend, so
Yeah.
we can make something work there too.
Yeah. Because we got to at least do our Two Nerds Thanksgiving Turkey Day Turkey Special, or whatever the fuck we called it. Legendary moment in history.
You remember all these stupid fucking things that I say? Just like I forget them as soon as I say them. Yeah, guys, happy Halloween. Thank you for listening. I hope you watch some spooky movies today and catch your ass in November.
And this is Buddy the Bruiser. I'm signing off. We'll see you next time.